All right. So we are coming at you live from Happy Hour with Heather and guest. So we're just waiting for our guest to sign in. Hopefully he will be doing that. But as is probably the case, since it's been true for most of these, they typically don't start right away. So if you're watching the end of the Browns-Chiefs game, you probably have a little bit of time before this thing actually kicks off. But either way, I hope you're all doing well out there, enjoying Sunday evening. I hope it's been a nice weekend for you. And hello, Heather. So hopefully, I'm hoping that that Carlos knows to at least sign into the group, and we will be able to start this thing off with a bang, so to speak. All right, Brad's watching. Hello, Brad. I hope the post office hasn't been getting you down lately. I remember when I was working in finance, some days were difficult to make it into work. I guess that's why it's called work. When, hello, Mom. When I was teaching at my last teaching job, frequently I would tell the students the only time fun comes before work is in the dictionary. And they did not appreciate that, especially because I said it frequently. And then it became sort of a game to see, whether or not any of them would break, and eventually respect that it was indeed a pretty witty thing to say. But they never did. In fact, one time I played a game with the students where I said that if I could quote movies for the day and they wouldn't recognize that I was quoting a movie, I would win. But if any of them ever recognized what I was saying was a movie quote, they would all get a homework pass. And I think I made it till 10 o'clock in the morning when I made a reference to Thunderdome, which is from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And the students had never seen it before, but they were just sort of gambling that whatever I was saying would be a quote from a movie. So they ended up winning. And I was happy to give them a homework pass because that was the kind of teacher I was. I was the kind of teacher that all the students, whether or not they actually learned anything, I think they had a good time, in the classroom. All right, so I may have to start tap dancing in a moment, but I hope, let's see, allow your viewers to request to join. So, thank you, Brad, I appreciate that. So, if Carlos is out there, and he's watching, and he's on, then you should be able to request to be... Oh, yeah, so just you should be able to request to join. Or... Yeah, I think if you request to join, there should be an option for that. I hope. I think maybe if you go at the bottom of the phone, there should be the second from the right button. I hope. But there should be a chance where there should be something at the bottom. I think it's at the bottom icon. Yeah, press the button. It's a green button that looks like people. That for those of you out there who've seen the film Soylent Green, or if you haven't seen the Soylent Green, there's a very famous quote. And for those of you who don't want to get this movie spoiled for you, you should probably earmuff it right now. But there's a very famous line where Charlton Heston, at the end of the movie, finds out that Soylent Green, the food that they've been making to sustain, life on Earth, is really people. So he's running around at the end and he's going, Soylent Green is people! I wish I could tell how many of you out there... Oh, see, I think we just lost some people on the live stream. I hope it's not because of my hacky joke telling, but it might be. So Carlos, there should be a button towards the bottom of the screen if you're on your phone, which allows you to send a request. Hopefully, we will figure that out momentarily. I feel like for these live streams, we should start them. There we go. Okay, bring them on camera. Hold on. I'm trying to bring you on camera, but it's not. Why is it up? Yep, there we go. So hopefully this will work. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, we're good.
There you go.
Yeah, unfortunately, hold on. Unfortunately, I don't know how to do it on the computer.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's why I was so lost, because I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but geez, is that the reverb?
Yeah, I'm about to plug headphones in real quick.
Okay, hold on, because I'm going to.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, these are not working. So how are you?
I'm doing good. I just got off work about an hour ago, so just kind of settling in.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Well, I hate to be taking you away from the Kansas City game because I know that's
Oh yeah.
where you are right now.
Well, I've got the scores set up to the side, so I don't even have the ability to stream it right now. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's before you got on, I was talking a little bit about my teaching
Hmm.
experiences, and it would most of the last group of students that I taught all had learning disabilities, so they all had personal computers
Okay.
in the classroom, and most of the time you could tell when they weren't following the lesson
Yeah.
because they were looking at the screen and then all of a sudden they'd start smiling, and I was like, yeah, Of Mice and Men just isn't that funny.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess I'll know if Kansas City scores a touchdown. I'll see that your eyes sort of dart over to the right.
Right.
But
I mean, it was looking pretty good from where we were whenever I stopped watching, and it was well into the fourth quarter. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to take this one.
yeah. I mean, I would say so. Um, it's funny. I wrote the last book that I had get published takes place in Kansas City, although I'm pretty sure it was Kansas City, Kansas,
Okay.
not Missouri.
Yeah.
But I know you you write for some publications too.
I do. I don't write very often anymore. I've been focusing on some other stuff, but I write for Sleeping Village Reviews. They do
Okay.
mostly metal, a little bit of pop here and there because some of the guys have a guilty pleasure for certain pop artists. Like one of our writers wrote an 8 piece on Avril Lavigne, which was out of absurdity, really, but it was a really good write up. It's a really good read.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me just. My mom wrote, "Don't give the scores. We're taping the game."
Oh, okay,
So don't
okay, I
don't worry,
won't.
mom. We won't give the scores away.
No, I won't.
But
I'm actually gonna
but
put
no,
that down.
it's funny. I remember listening to someone. I think it may have been Eddie Trunk, who talked about. He spent like 15 minutes talking about like guilty pleasure music
Yeah,
and how he doesn't. If you enjoy listening to it, then it's not really a guilty pleasure.
right,
Although at the same point in time, I sort of understand like if you're a fan of Sleep, maybe you don't necessarily want to let people in on the fact that you just wrote up about Avril Lavigne.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, but that's cool. And obviously the Chronic Lethargy just had an album come out in September,
Yep. Yes, we did.
which I was listening to called Stonin'.
Yep.
So for those of you out there looking for, I feel like I'm going back into the podcast mode. For those of you out there looking for great, killer doom and stoner jams, then Stonin', I think it's for $1 right now. You can get it on Bandcamp.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna keep it that way. It was initially set to that price because we were dealing with some things with a label that we were trying to leave, but then once we were in the clear and all that, we got to change the price to what we initially wanted it, which is $1.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think it's certainly, yeah. Where Heather just wrote, "Whoa, $1." Yeah, no, it's definitely a phenomenal album. I mean, I think I played one of the songs on the podcast the other day, but it's really great. If you're a fan of just great music, but stoner and doom metal and what have you, that would be definitely worth your time.
yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. We worked pretty hard on this album actually, mostly through the initial part of the quarantine here in Kansas City. Like when we everything locked down, we all lost our jobs. We buckled down and four of us lived together, so it was really easy. Like the four main people who write music, we all lived together, so it was really easy for us to just hash out the songs and record them.
Yeah, well, that I mean that's as long as the nerve center is still intact.
Right.
It's good that you're able to still be. And I think one thing I've learned about the silver lining in all of this with quarantining and the pandemic is that a lot of people are really becoming creative,
Yeah.
um, and working on new material or trying to find ways to like even live streaming these split screens and doing performances or whatever. But
Yeah. And
but that's good.
oh yeah,
That's good.
we've even done a couple live streams ourselves. We've set it up in the basement. Nothing fancy. We're trying to work on the equipment that we have for live streams to better the audio quality mainly is what we want to better because we've played a couple live streams through just my phone really and it sounds okay but we really want it to sound better and it seems like for the foreseeable future we're going to be doing a lot more live streams than shows, so that's something that we definitely want to increase the quality of.
Yeah, it would seem I'm very slowly things are starting to settle down. Whether or
Hmm.
not it will go back to what we remember anytime soon
Right.
remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, I think what I've learned, the great thing about these live streams is being able to have the audience interaction.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's somewhat limited, it's not the same as being there. Um, at least you can. And by the way, a shout out to my aunt Sue who's watching. Um, but yeah, no, it makes sense if you're going to focus on anything to try and get the technical quality of the sound better,
Yeah.
for when you're live streaming. I think the problem we found with doing these split screen chats on Facebook is that it's really difficult not to do it on your phone.
Yeah.
I think it's probably possible to do it through the computer, but most of the time, I don't know how to do that. So
I don't really either. I did an interview with a friend who runs a podcast, and so we did video as well, but we ran our audio through Discord and then our video through Zoom, I think, and he just recorded both of them. I don't know how that would work for live streaming or anything. I'm just learning about the ins and outs of live stream, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not, I'm not MacGyver by any stretch, so
Right.
I would probably mess that. Also, a shout out to my Uncle Vic, who is watching as well. But yeah, no, I at this point, uh, when I sort of do these live, help out on these live streams or anything,
Hmm.
it's just the simplest thing. I know the phone works. I
Yeah.
know there's probably ways to do it other time, through the computer, but I don't, I look at that as like plumbing, just something I better left to the professionals who know what
Yeah.
they're doing.
I agree completely.
But
Can I turn this sideways? Will this fix itself?
I don't think so,
No? Okay. No worries.
unfortunately. But um,
Oh
but yeah,
yeah.
so you're able to work on new music right now? I mean, I know the album just came out a few months ago,
Yeah,
but
we actually have been hard at work with new songs. It's weird the way we write music in any other band. I've never written music the way we do as far as like the process goes. We'll jam it out for a little bit. We'll just improvise when we first start practicing, but we always record. And so then we'll take a break, listen to certain parts that we like, and then we'll take that part and just work on that from there. Create a song off of a single idea that we came up through improvisation usually. And right now we have about the bones for about two or three new songs that are not on Stonin. So hopefully we'll have some new music, midway through this year is what we're hoping.
yeah, that's great. I mean, even if it's just songs that you'll develop over the next couple months,
Hmm.
um, it's just great to be able to use the time. That's the one thing I've been thankful for is that I've been able to use the time to still be creative and productive. Even though it can be, I know a lot of musicians I've spoken to, or a lot of visual artists. It's been difficult for them to showcase their work
Yeah.
because, it's a performance type thing.
Hmm.
But since I spend a lot of time writing or recording podcasts, which is mostly a solo effort, it's nice just to have the uninterrupted time.
Yeah.
But uh, but that's good. I'm glad. I mean, I'm always on the lookout because stoner and doom metal is my preferred sort of genre,
Okay.
and so as bands that I really enjoyed are starting to sort of fade out, they've been around for 20 years, 30 years, they're not
Hmm.
playing as much new stuff. I'm always looking for bands to kind of take their place, and this year I've been able to find like a handful of bands that I wouldn't call them underground necessarily, but bands that are sort of up and coming.
Yeah.
And
Most
so
definitely.
it's great. So Stone and definitely for those of you out there looking to replace, the elder guard, so to speak, there's a lot of up and coming groups, Chronic Lethargy being one of them. And of course, make sure when you put Chronic Lethargy into Google that you're talking about the band, not
The
not the fatigue syndrome.
Right. Yeah. Now that is something we talked about whenever we initially came up with the band. I mean, it has obviously. I mean, if you think about a couple different meanings,
Sure.
yeah. But one thing we wrote our first demo it's called Sleepless. It was about sleep disorders, and a lot of us deal with sleep disorders pretty heavily. Actually, a couple of us have sleep apnea pretty bad. My brother and I had sleep paralysis growing up a lot. That kind of stuff. So we wrote kind of that album about that, and then the name Chronic Lethargy. It kind of just embodies the always tired or feeling like there's stones attached to your feet or something. That sort of idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly fits. And it's great because, like you said, there's a lot of, double entendres or wordplay to it.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it also suits the music. And it's, a lot of times I've found that real life will generate some really great ideas in terms of, what direction you should go in.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, because the name does really fit well, and it's sort of. I wrote a short story once where I found out that the movie Nightmare on Elm Street was influenced by Cambodian refugees who would die in their sleep.
Okay.
So because they had something called Brugada syndrome, where they had trouble sleeping, and
Huh.
then it became this mythological thing where because of the it all happened during the right after the Khmer Rouge and the Vietnam War, so there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of post traumatic stress disorder. But
Okay.
that's what influenced Wes Craven into creating the movie, which I always found to be interesting.
That
But
is
since you were
interesting.
talking about sleep disorders,
Yeah. I've never heard of
yeah,
that before.
yeah, I mean it's not really as well known.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I sort of went down the rabbit hole of like what if I'm ever on YouTube, and there's and you just see the algorithm
Yep.
sort of recommend things. If I see a band name that sounds good, I'll just click on that, and then all of a sudden I'm taken away for the next 2 hours.
Right.
So sometimes with like when I would read about movies or something and there was trivia, I would usually figure that out, and I was interested in the genesis of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
So that, yeah. And right now, all of my fan club is patting me on the back for being able to capitalize on my film trivia because that's rare when that happens.
Yeah. It's something that kind of
So
just sits with you.
yeah, I mean, except when the crossword is being done, that's
Yeah.
when I get to shine.
There you go.
But practical situations, it's not as
That
applicable.
doesn't arise as often.
No, you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that knowing what won Best Picture in 1983 would come in handy more often than not, but it doesn't.
Right.
It's really,
It's a shame.
really, yeah. It's a shame. I mean, it's surprising, but so obviously the I'm sure the quarantining has prevented you guys from playing live,
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly just been streaming.
Yeah.
But are you planning on doing any streaming within the next few months, or?
We'll see. So we have played a couple shows, and we've played a couple shows through last year, but they were during the warm weather and they were outside where everybody wore a mask and had plenty of room to separate. And so we're planning on doing something like that again this year,
Right.
depending on how everything goes. We're lucky enough that we have some land too, and enough of it that we can have a show outside on our land. So I think that's what we'll plan to do again this coming year. We didn't advertise them that much because everybody was, pretty adamant, and we didn't really want to get a ton of people there, But it would be us and maybe one other band that would play, and we're planning on doing that again this year a couple times, hopefully.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Oh, Brad asked what bands inspire you and your band.
Ooh. If we're talking about chronic lethargy specifically, hold on, I gotta lean this again. Okay, so obviously the big ones like Black Sabbath is definitely a major influence. Candlemass is a big influence. 70s prog rock is big. Like I always mess up their name. I think it's Iron Butterfly. And then Yes is a big influence for us. Our keyboard player loves a bunch of those kind of bands specifically because, and that's one thing that we love to do. That's a little bit different for our genre currently, is our keyboard player leans is like it plays like a rhythm guitar player. But so yeah, like Yes, The Doors. That's kind of a hard one. I mean, I'm huge into Tool, and I find myself like anytime I play or write a riff, I have to check to see like, did I rip this off from Tool or something, or is it too close to a Tool riff? Because I sometimes do that a lot. But yeah, so that's pretty much about it. Those are the main influences I would say.
That's good. Yeah, I mean those are all great, and it's interesting you brought up the Doors because they didn't have a bass player,
Right.
and Ray Manzarek was essentially played bass on the organ.
Yeah.
So hearing your keyboard player kind of leaning in to playing it like a guitar, that's what that
Oh yeah.
reminded me of.
And when we started, we were a three-piece: drums, guitar, and keys, and that's it. And so he was playing pretty much the bass and the guitar. I'm sorry, I can't stop
That's all good.
shaking this.
My
Make it.
aunt asked, "How about seminars for old folks?" I'm not sure if that's in the schedule. I mean, unless the people
Oh,
down in Florida want to learn about chronic lethargy, and get perhaps fly everyone down once the quarantine ends for a live gig. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know what the schedule is like, but
we are pretty open schedule. If you want to fly us to Florida, we would love to be down there.
yeah. So there you go. At the villages, chronic lethargy at the villages. Of course, that people might think that it's some sort of doctor coming to give a medical
Right.
conference, but either way, yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah. Well, we will keep that in mind.
Yeah, sign us up. That sounds like a blast, honestly. I've never even
Yeah.
been to
Well,
Florida. I've been to a lot of the country, but I've never been to Florida or even the Southeast in general.
gotcha. That's
Yeah.
where I am right now.
Okay.
I'm a little bit south of Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
So, and I went to look at Washington University in Missouri in
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis,
Okay.
but I don't know how if St. Louis and Kansas City are rivals or if you guys are close in proximity or
We're on the other side of the state.
gotcha. Okay,
Yeah. And on like they border Illinois, we border Kansas.
gotcha.
Hmm.
Well, Heather, who the woman who this show is named after,
Yeah.
lives in Illinois.
Okay.
So
I know Heather. I mean, no is not really the right word, but I talked to Heather through Matt Bacon's
right, right. Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I think she had mentioned that one of the marketing campaigns.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna
Um,
try to pull it up on my computer because I can't see the comments on my phone,
oh yeah,
and I would like to see them.
my aunt is saying that you could stay with her and my uncle.
Okay.
Um, I mean, you're saying okay pretty quickly, which is great,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, again, we'll see what the. I mean, I don't know why I'm not immediately like signing off on this, but
I
but
guess that does got me concerned a little bit.
no, well, it's. I guess whenever family's involved, it gets you always sort of hesitate a little bit
Yeah, I
if
definitely
it
understand that.
if it works, if it doesn't work, and then
Right.
but I'm sure playing at the villages down in Orlando would be a great opportunity.
Well, we make great house guests because we're also all of us are cooks
Oh,
professionally.
there you go. Really
Yeah.
professional cooks.
Yep.
Oh
All of
well,
us.
let's see. You should have opened with that, and then yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you could do. I mean, you could do like a bed and breakfast type situation.
Absolutely. We would love to. I love cooking breakfast. That's actually one of my
Yeah,
favorite things.
yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that I hate to steer this back about me, but I've been working on another book in a series I'm doing where private detectives work out of a diner.
Okay.
So they just one of them never leaves. The other one does all the work. One of them is the face of the operation, and he just eats pancakes and bacon and drinks coffee all day. And one of my favorite comments was someone said he'd be dead if this were real life,
Yeah.
um, because of the amount that he. But when you had mentioned cooking breakfast,
Yeah.
that's what I had thought of.
What's your favorite
But
breakfast meal? Like, what's your go-to?
I mean, I gotta say pancakes and bacon.
Yeah.
Um, I won't turn down waffles
Mm-hmm.
certainly, nor an omelet. Uh, I really sort of will run the gamut. Um, but even when I was living in New York, there was a great diner near me, so I would do like Pancake Saturday,
Okay.
and then that became a thing. Um, what type of food is your oh? My mom asked, what type of food is your specialty?
Ooh. Um, that's a hard one. Probably barbecue at this point because I chef at a place that does a lot of barbecue. And so I've gotten really good at barbecue, but before that, my favorite things to cook are like Asian, Southeast Asian food, Vietnamese, Japanese, that kind of food.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So people out there, just remember you're dealing with a Renaissance man here, with writing, music, cooking, visual art,
Yeah.
what have you. My aunt wrote Bagels and Lox.
Yeah, I'd love to do bagels and lox.
Yeah. See, there you go. Okay. Okay. Let's sign this deal while it's while the ink is still drying on the paper.
Right. Strike while
But
the iron's hot.
why not? Why not? That's my brother for a while had. I mean, he's somewhat of an amateur chef, I would say.
Mm.
Nothing. He's never worked in a kitchen or done anything like that, but he likes to watch like Eric Repair YouTube
Yep.
videos, and and he's very much into cooking really complex. I'm more of a simple kind of person
Hmm.
when it comes to making stuff, but the my aunt wrote baby back ribs. Okay, I feel like this is going to turn into a like a cooking seminar,
Right.
which is fine.
Oh, that would be
Well,
much more comfortable for us. We are much more comfortable with that.
okay, yeah. I mean, really, wherever you'd like this conversation to go, I'm happy to. We can keep talking music. We can talk food. We can talk Kansas City life. I don't. I would sort of have to pull back a little bit depending, on what topic. But really, this is your floor.
Well, I mean, we don't really have a whole lot going on with chronic lethargy right now. We've kind of pumped the brakes, as everybody else has too.
Right.
And we talk like we are writing right now, but other than that, we've been pretty quiet on social media. We've been just, and like we've all been kind of focusing on different things right now. Anyway,
Gotcha. Well,
and
whatever you'd like to discuss, personally, I'm happy to. We can. I mean, I'm happy to keep having my extended family throw out food suggestions. Um, if people watching want to ask about other questions,
yeah,
you're more than
definitely.
welcome to. Um, how did you get into cooking?
Ooh, I would say out of necessity. My mom was a single mother. She worked a lot. She was a nurse at the local hospital. And my brother who is the drummer in Chronic Lethargy, he's a year and a couple months younger than me. But him and I would, we first started learning to cook with Hamburger Helper. That's how we learned, properly browning meat, straining it, seasoning it, how to reduce a sauce. It's kind of weird how many things, like looking back, how many fundamentals I learned from just learning how to make Hamburger Helper or mac and cheese, like emulsifying butter into, milk and making it a sauce without breaking it and all that, applying correct amount of heat, So we started doing that, and then I got a job as soon as I could when I was 14 because I just wanted money. I wanted to buy things and buy a car when I could. So I got a job at Dairy Queen, and then it just kind of went from there. I worked at McDonald's later, and then I moved to the city and started working at real restaurants. And then I found that I actually love doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're thinking of getting into cooking, look at the Hamburger Helper and mac and cheese as ways to segue into more complicated things. Like,
Oh yeah.
in fact, tonight I'll probably end up making dinner for my folks, and I've been. Oh, how are your mixology skills? Heather says.
I am not so good. Our keyboard player Nathan is excellent. He makes some great drinks, and he is super good with mixology. It's weird because we all like separate things with that because our bass player is really into wines, specifically like natural wines and all that. I really like beers, like specifically sour beers or sour ales, that kind of stuff. But yeah, my mixology skills not that great. I know how to make a screwdriver, um, and that's a whiskey coke, and that's about it really. Oh,
Gotcha.
I can make an old fashioned or not an old fashioned. I can't remember the whiskey drink that has lemon juice, like frothed white egg whites, and something else in it. Whiskey sour, I want to say, is what it is.
It could be, yeah. It's been a long time since I've had to know the various mixology drinks.
Mm-hmm.
But and I was always more of a Jack and Coke type guy,
Yeah, me too.
or just or just a beer. Um, which is funny because my brother is much more of a wine connoisseur.
Okay.
He actually worked at a winery for a summer, and it's funny. I wanted to mention he stayed with me for a few months when I lived in Astoria, which is like a section of Queens in New York, right across the water.
Okay.
It's and there was a butcher shop that I used to go to pretty frequently. And one night, my brother wanted to make rabbit ragu,
Mm.
so he went in and he said, "Can I have a rabbit?" And the butcher said, "Do you want me to prepare that for you?" And my brother said, "No, I'll take care of that myself."
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Wait right here." And he went in the back to bring out the other butchers because he wanted to present my brother, who would take care of the rabbit himself, as opposed to it was like some sort of code of honor among them, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, rabbit. But yeah, so that's the kind. My brother knows about fine wines and makes rabbit ragu. I know that Amadeus won Best Picture in 1984. I feel like whether it was a 50-50 split in terms of the skills, who knows? But we
Right.
all we each got something.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So, well, that's all. I mean, if there's one thing that I wish I had spent more time developing, it's being a chef or cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Or I take some pleasure in it.
Yeah,
It's not like a chore, but I usually enjoy cooking for other people much more.
me too.
And I'm not sure if that's a universal thing,
I don't know.
or for me it was always much more enjoy. It's less. I'd rather order something in if it's just going to be me,
Oh yeah.
but if it's other people, then I'm happy to make whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
when I cook, I don't really get messy, but I use a lot of utensils. I'll use like a specific spoon for each pan. I'll like, that kind of stuff. And if I'm cooking for just myself, I don't want to dirty all those dishes and then have to clean them and all
right,
that. So I definitely get you. I'd rather just eat in or order in if I'm gonna just eat for myself.
yeah, I've started. There's a great Simpsons episode where Homer goes to the gym, so he starts eating a bunch of like protein bars,
Yeah.
and then at one point he says, "I only eat food in bar form." And at one point he gets like a bar making machine, and he puts like pasta and meatballs in it, and cranks it out as a bar. So I found these pouches that are
Yeah.
microwavable, like lentils and rice and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I think to myself, nowadays I only eat food in pouch form if it's by myself.
Yeah.
But but if like tonight I'll make dinner for everyone, and that'll be enjoyable because I'm cooking for other people.
What are you
But
making?
I'm sorry.
What are you making?
Oh, I'm gonna make a pasta with kielbasa,
Okay.
and then I'll deglaze the pan with some of the pasta water,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes a pretty good sauce. My aunt adds that paper plates work,
Yes, they do.
so I don't eat this. I don't know whether or not that will take away from the allure of going to play at the villages if she's offering paper plates as part of the cooking. But who knows? We'll address the tech writer later.
Right.
But yeah,
uh, I don't even know what I'm gonna eat for dinner. Uh, I'll probably cook something for me and my roommates. See, that is one thing about having roommates. I'm never really cooking for just myself.
right, right. And then the good, I guess, cleaning up and the doing the dishes is sort of divvied up
Yeah,
amongst everyone.
it's split.
I've always, thankfully, the people I've been with when I'm cooking have always subscribed to the if we don't cook, we clean,
Mm-hmm.
type thing. So then
Yeah,
it makes it even easier to want to cook because you don't have to worry about doing dishes
exactly.
afterward.
Yeah, and that's how it was in my mom's house when I was growing up. And I think that's another thing that drew me to cooking because if I cooked, I didn't have to do the dishes.
Right, right. It's always the incentive
Yeah.
to get out of having to do because no one likes doing dishes.
No, nobody.
Um, but
It's a good paying job though around here.
yeah, yeah. Well, and from it's typically and I know that these are these this when you bring up the topic of barbecue,
Mm.
a lot that then all of a sudden the gloves can come off,
Yeah.
But there have been a couple of people that I've met from Kansas City who when you start thinking about places for barbecue and you mention um, and you don't mention them in the top three, they start to get upset, and it's like, wait
Oh
a second,
yeah.
you got to put Kansas City barbecue up there.
Yeah.
And so I've become, it's been a long time. I don't think I've had any Kansas City barbecue in a while,
Yeah.
but because I've had friends that are very adamant about that, I'm sort of eager to get down there and check it out at some point.
Most of, I mean, most of the difference between Kansas City barbecue and other barbecues is the sauce, and I think that's just with any barbecue. It is the sauce that's different. Like the rubs that we use are not really much different than Texas, or Carolinas. It all comes down to the sauce. Like Carolina has a mustard-based sauce. Texas is generally dry, I guess. I don't really like that, but and Kansas City has the sweet or like molasses-based sauce. But I mean, it all is. I love barbecue sauce though. So I mean, I don't prefer dry barbecue, always with some sauce.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I live currently. I live in Alexandria, Virginia,
Hmm.
and the only barbecue I get is from like a place called Pork Bellies,
Okay.
which is sort of like, I guess it would be like a couple of steps up from like a fast food
Sure.
barbecue place.
Yeah.
Um, and that you go to the table and they have the six different barbecue sauces there that you can have. From one of them's a mustard based one of them's
Hmm.
vinegar, one of them is the regular. So I don't know if my palate is as refined when it comes to barbecue sauce. Oh, my mom asked, "Is Kansas City a dry or a wet rub?"
Uh, Generally dry rub and then sauced while cooking. So it
Gotcha.
depends on how you count that, but it's still a dry rub.
So, Ma, if you have any designs on making Kansas City style barbecue while I'm down here, um, take some notes.
Yeah.
But so, what? Any is there any aside from cooking for yourself and Chronic Lethargy? You said is on pause for a bit,
For a
and
little
I
bit, yeah.
know you've been I guess writing some reviews every so often. Are there any other projects you're working on?
Yeah, I've been working very heavily with a friend of mine, Brian Hall. He is an audio engineer from around here. He's worked for in the industry for a while, a couple years, and but him and I have known each other since childhood. But we've kind of just like gone on to separate spectrums of the music industry. Him and I have been working on this project where we have been filming bands in a live setting and then also recording their live setting. So we have a pretty much completely, what's the word, mobile studio that we can take anywhere on location. And then I bring my camera and some other stuff like that. Oh, losing it. And then, yeah, so we just record a video with the live setting and then we do a short interview with them as well. I just released my first video. It's on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I watched it before I knew I was going to be speaking with you. It was the band was I want to say it's with a K.
Yep, Kuwabara.
That's right. I would have gotten the pronunciation wrong,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah, it was cool. It was like a song and then a sit down with an interview,
yeah.
and then yeah, that I mean that I think that would be a great opportunity for bands to to take you up on that and
Hmm.
do sort of like a chance to do a sit down interview, get their music out there.
Right.
It reminded me a lot of like sometimes you'll see VHS or DVDs from the 80s or 90s with bands on tour, and
Exactly.
then there'll be like the interview going on.
Yep. And that's
But
exactly what we were kind of going for with because that's our biggest inspiration when it comes to that. Brian and I grew up watching those tapes. We would go to our local video rental store and get as many of them as we could, even bands we didn't know. But like the tour diary, live show kind of mix, we've always loved that, and that's kind of like our inspiration behind that.
yeah, well, it was. I mean, it was great because it was. You managed to sort of. I mean, I don't know those guys in the band,
Hmm.
but but you managed to sort of capture the playfulness they had and the friendliness they had with each other,
Yeah.
just in the banter in the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the sort of stuff that really makes it worth. Some of these things are shot and they're so polished and processed
Mm-hmm.
that it's just like fact A, B, and C, and you
Right.
never really learn who these people are. But I felt like I knew who these two guys were within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I believe that's on your Instagram page, right?
It is. It's on my YouTube channel. The full video is on my YouTube. I've been releasing little snippets here and there
Okay,
of it on my Instagram, but yes, it's on my YouTube channel.
gotcha. And that's just under your name?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so yeah, for those of you out there looking for a really cool tour diary like video with a performance and interviews, Heather wrote, "I don't like overproduced stuff." I agree with you, Heather. And
100%.
my mom said maybe we should invite Carlos to visit us. Uh, okay, maybe on his tour when he plays the Villages in Orlando,
There we go.
there could be a stopover on the way back, and yeah, we could learn how to make authentic Kansas barbecue.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. These days, I'm all for making things happen. That's my motto.
And
But
we've all been hungry to leave, and we were. It sucks because I mean, so many people had to cancel tours, but we were planning on doing a fall tour. We were planning it in 2019, and we had it all but finalized, and we were supposed to go out to the East Coast, and this other band was going to take us with them. It was exciting, but yeah.
well, if that does come to fruition at any point, and you're able to get back on the East Coast, you've got at least a few places that you can visit and possibly play
And we will.
and certainly cook.
Oh yeah.
So consider the invitation extended.
Okay.
Oh,
Deal.
my aunt said Leesburg, not Orlando.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
is that
So
northern Florida or?
it's more northern than the middle.
Okay.
It's near Disney World,
Okay.
but it's not like Jacksonville or the Panhandle, which is
Hmm.
like really toward the top. But
Okay.
but yeah, no, I agree. So if bands were interested in, is this something you're thinking of extending into like a service, like going out
Yeah.
and doing
Most definitely. So if right now we to not give ourselves burnout and to not overwhelm ourselves in this first little bit of it, we've decided to only book one filming session per month. So, but we have all the way out to March booked right now. We have one coming up. We're filming this or a week from today actually. We'll be filming the January one. We're gonna be filming 3 acoustic artists. So that's gonna be a completely different spectrum. And then February we're recording 2 rappers, and hopefully we have a really good location. We're kind of working on the location for that one right now. And then March, I'm already talking to 2 bands about booking for March. But yes, we do want to extend this. And like, if any band really wants to do this and wants to come to us, I'm willing to make time to do that. This is
right.
yeah. Right now we're doing this for free, but we do eventually once we get better equipment, once we get better at what we're doing, we want to, you know, make a business out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, and so Heather's asking, is this on your personal page?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's on Instagram, and I think it's I'm gonna mispronounce Captain Sison. Is that the
Captain Sason. It's like
Cap?
capsaicin. Yeah,
Oh, Capsaicin. Yeah, there we go, Capsaicin.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, which
it's also on my Facebook page. The link is the last thing, one of the last things I posted, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this sounds like a really for bands who are looking to gain some exposure and really connect to because it's sort of like an inside take,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot with great. I mean, you're like right there, just sort of asking them, questions in a really what's the word I'm looking for? A really mellow environment. I mean,
Yeah.
those two guys were just sort of sitting down by the stage with the gear behind them.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was really cool. So if you're in a band out there and you're thinking of, you know, gaining some exposure, then definitely someone you want to talk to about doing a tour diary type interview.
Hmm. Yeah, we want to get as many as we can. I think into the summer we might work into doing 2 sessions a month, but right now we're just doing one.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it's probably best to sort of not burn out and do it one at a time.
And it's just the two of us that are filming, recording, and editing. I edit all the video and I do all the filming. Brian does all the audio and mixes it himself. And we don't do like multiple takes. It's an actual live take from the recording. Like it's not doctored up like a lot of the other live videos, like Audio Tree. Great stuff. But Audio Tree's like their audio for their live videos are heavily treated, and you can tell they've gone through and retracked some of them as well.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who records his podcast, warts and all, I definitely I definitely like it when it's not been doctored up.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, and by the way, Kurt from Australia from the band Fumarole,
Yeah.
he just said hi, legends.
What's up, Kurt? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Fumarole. I love that band. We've
Yeah, no, they're great.
and they're
They're
great
great.
people. They've been super supportive of us since day one too.
Yeah, no, those guys are all. That's been the beauty of this thing is just meeting so many cool people from
Yeah.
around the world, and who are really supportive. But Kurt and for those of you out there looking for more great stoner metal,
Oh yeah.
definitely Fumarole's album is out on Bandcamp as well. Um,
Great
and yeah,
album.
I mean, I'm hoping that obviously you guys have slowed things down a bit, but Chronic Lethargy's album came out in September of last year, and it's a banger as well.
Thank you.
Um, and I love the fact that I got to say it's a banger because I don't really get the chance to say that very often.
Right.
But but yeah, no, this is I feel like I've learned so much from talking with you that I wasn't expecting that we would talk about.
Hmm.
Like I got going into it, I knew we'd talk chronic lethargy,
Yeah.
and we would possibly talk, writing about, a little bit, or visual art, but cooking sort of came out of left field, and
Right.
I'm really happy we got to do that because, again, not something I would have expected.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's a big part of our life. We even tried to come up with a hot sauce to put on our merch table, but then with all this COVID stuff, we were like, well, we're not going to
Yeah,
even have a merch table now. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's fun, and I will anytime I get a chance to take a tangent, I will take it into something I've written. But when you mentioned capsaicin, I wrote a short story once comparing hard to find albums
hmm,
with spicy chilies.
okay,
So there was a band uh, called Judge
uh-huh.
who released an album called Chung King Can Suck It because they recorded their album at the Chung King Studios
Okay,
and they had a horrible time.
yeah,
Um, and only like 300 were ever produced because they didn't want it.
yeah,
But now it's become a collector's item. So I said that's similar to like the ghost pepper chili because of how rare, it's rare, but it's not too rare,
right,
and it's so high on the Scoville scale. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's really no point to that story other than I wanted to talk about, you'd meant capsaicin,
yeah.
and I recognized what that was.
I mean, I'd love to talk peppers because like I used to grow them pretty heavily too. I haven't because I recently bought a house, and it was in the middle of the season, so I didn't really get to grow peppers. But a couple of years ago, I grew two Carolina Reaper plants. I got to be about 4 feet tall, and
Wow.
I had a couple ghost peppers and a lot of habanero plants. Those are my favorite. I love habaneros.
Yeah, I mean, is the hardcore. Yes, Judge is a hardcore band. In fact, there's a great documentary about them on YouTube that you can watch,
Okay.
where they were in the New York hardcore scene, um, with and a lot of their members played in other New York hardcore bands. But yeah, I had learned a little bit about. I read that in India they put ghost chilies on fences to keep elephants away
Huh.
because the elephant, they're so robust that the elephants don't want to go near it.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously the Carolina Reaper, I think, was probably the number one pepper for a while in terms of what on the it was like 1 million Scoville units.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was interesting to kind of learn, because that world has sort of gone from, spicing food to being like a YouTube meme where kids make pranks like, "Can I eat a
Yeah.
Carolina Reaper?"
Right.
And it's interesting to kind of, because habaneros are great.
Yeah.
They're like, if you get into chilies, and you can stomach them, they're awesome. But it's just sort of interesting how it's become something completely different these days.
Yeah. I mean, habaneros are so versatile, and you can cool them out with a lot of stuff like sugar. Carrots is another thing I like to combine when making a hot sauce. Habaneros and carrots are great together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, whether or not you're able to make a hot sauce that you can actually sell,
Yeah.
at your merch table, you should definitely do something, may, even if it's just putting out like a cookbook or a sauce book or something like that, because I think a lot of people would want to know the secrets of what makes a good sauce.
Okay. I like that idea a lot, and we could do that easily. Even if it was a small booklet or something that comes like
Yeah,
with an album or something.
yeah, put it. I mean, because I think there are a lot of people out there that would love the little extra sort of thing. Um, and I think, based on the passion you have just in talking to you now about
Mm-hmm.
cooking,
Yeah.
like it seems like that would be a worthwhile. I think there are bands out there that would want the tour diary experience of getting, and then there are people who would want, the Chronic Lethargy style hot sauce
Yeah.
that that hits you just in the right place or something. I don't know what the tagline would be better than that,
Yeah.
but
All right.
yeah, no, that would be you should definitely think about that.
We will definitely. I like that idea a lot. We actually have a. It's kind of goofy, but we have a tagline that we put in a lot of our videos. It's just I feel better already. For some reason, that's just stuck with us.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's perfect. Like, you could have that on like an unfurled scroll or something. I feel
Yeah.
better already.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't. I would certainly look into that. Whether or not you're going to actually sell anything, in person at a merch table
Right.
these days is probably hard. But you could certainly put out, recipes or some kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my own coffee made once through there's a company online where you just select the beans and the style you want, and they put it all together.
Okay.
So, it's certainly Brad wrote, "I like that." Yeah, I like that tagline too. I do feel better already.
Give me
But
1 second. My audio.
it's
It's
all
all
good.
good.
Okay. My audio was being weird. It was like doubling.
Yeah, that happens sometime.
Huh.
Chronic lethargy cures everything. Oh, my aunt is trying to jump into the tagline business.
I love
But
it.
yeah, you could that one you can add that to whatever you want.
Where
But
is it?
no, that's definitely cool. I think you should pursue the either a hot sauce or
Mm-hmm.
a cookbook or some sort of thing, because I feel like some of the stuff that's just rolling off your tongue right now, combining carrots with habaneros, there are a lot of people out there that would probably really appreciate the insight.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really, I'm really glad, again, I'm glad we went down a different avenue, talked some food. I had not anticipated that, but and I'm glad things are going well. With I know the band is sort of on pause right now a little bit, but everything else I hope is going well,
Oh yeah.
and I hope the tour diary videos continue to continue to book time, because
Yeah.
that'll be great, and I'll definitely put that out there that if people are interested, they should contact you at least to get some idea of what it's all about.
Yeah. Definitely.
And
That'd be great.
sure, sure, absolutely. I'm looking at the time. I think we're sort of running out a little bit, but
Okay.
was there any other things you wanted to talk about,
Um.
or anything else to promote, or
Yeah. So like, I'll just check out my YouTube channel. It's at Carlos Balmaceda. I'll put a link. I'll post a link in the group whenever we're done. Other than that, follow Chronic Lethargy. We do post on our story pretty often. You know, just we're goofing around usually, but we do post clips of new music sometimes as we go and write. And then yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, I will. This will be archived. This chat on the group.
Hmm.
So everything we talked about will be there.
Okay, cool.
But I will probably post, directing people to check out the YouTube, and if they're interested in pursuing any other questions, they can definitely contact you.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking the time to speak with me, though.
Yeah, of course. It's been a good time.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Take care.